And this published in 2024 by Makere. Makere, by the way, is a trademark of Masube Books. Yeah. The Lekki Bride is first in the Lagos Love Journal story series. And it chronicles the journey of Anjola Ayo Kesinte. Now, Angie is your girl next door. Yeah, the usual kind of girl, yeah. Whose life suddenly changes when she marries an older man from a prestigious and powerful family. She slowly begins to lose herself in her very predictable life as a wife and as a mother until her ex resurfaces. Brace yourself for drama. We have the author join us, Layemi O-I, with the pen name Layemi O-I. I love that. Layemi, well, what a pleasure to have you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so very much.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, Layemi, by the way, is a marketing and communications professional, just like myself. Yeah. That's why I read in school, but then find myself in broadcast, but it's fine. She is also a writer. Her writer focuses on the journeys of women in living, in learning, and loving. Yeah. She is a self-acclaimed romantic, and enjoys writing about love. She is married to a leading man in her own story. Layemi, again, great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
The Lekki Bride. Confess. Are you the Lekki Bride?
No, I'm not. Maybe some parts of my persona reflecting the characters, but no, I'm not the Lekki Bride.
But you look like her, or she looks like you.
Okay, I'll take that as a compliment.
Man. So, but some parts are okay. Some other parts, not you. But some parts.
Well, I share some similarities.
I like it when authors start with well. You know that there's more to what they're saying.
Okay, well, one of the similarities is that we both studied mass communication, so maybe
just like me.
Exactly. Yeah. See, so you also have some things in common with that.
I'm not there. All right, great book you have.
Thank you.
Massive book. I love this book.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering for a bit, who did the design?
Okay. It's a very talented illustrator called Isaac. He goes by the name Ninja Boy on Instagram.
He's even the brother to my father, Jacob.
Oh God!
Don't mind me. Well, you saw. He's my grandfather, rather. Okay. Great artwork.
Thank you.
Lekki Bride. I'm just wondering for a bit. Is there any particular reason you titled it the Lekki Bride?
Well, the title of the trilogy is the Lagos Love Journal. So we also thought it would be good to have different parts of Lagos reflected. We have a diaspora audience we're also engaging. So we thought it would be a good idea to also showcase, the different nuances of different parts of Lagos. And because Angela lives in Lekki Phase 1 with her husband, we titled that the Lekki Bride. The next one is the Ikoyi Princess.
The Ikoyi Princess.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write this?
Wow. Okay, so it actually started as a blog series, a weekly internet blog series. So it took about 18 months, I think, of weekly updates, because I think there were about over 50-something entries. So yeah, it took over a year to put this together. And then we started the process of then converting it into an actual novel, because it was a blog post initially. So it took a lot of editing work. So I'd say in total over 2 years to come out with the first edition.
I know you've told us that you're not entirely Angela, but is any parts of the influence that you have, the inspiration that you have, is there any part of this book that's from a personal experience?
The book is entirely fictional.
You are a journalist. You're alive. I set a trap for you and you didn't enter.
No, it's entirely my imagination. I don't think I really relate with anything. And I did that intentionally because I didn't want to see too much of myself reflected in the character, because it's not a memoir, is it? So it's entirely fictional. And that's the honest answer.
Emma will know. Now, you started your book with a poem. Why? Are you saying that you are also a poet? Kind of.
Okay.
But with unpublished poems?
I'm not a poet. The poem is actually a scripture. It's the definition of love in the Bible from the book of Corinthians. So it's just I just try to turn the scripture, the verses into action points to say this is the kind of love that you should be searching for and the kind of love that you should be giving. So it's actually derived from a scripture in Corinthians.
Can you read it for us and then we can start the show?
Okay. That too. So it says, to the love that is patient, the love that is kind, the love that does not envy, the love that does not boast, the love that is not proud, the love that does not dishonor others, the love that is not self-seeking, the love that is not easily angered, the love that keeps no records of wrongs, the love that does not delight in evil but rejoices in truth, the love that always protects, trusts, hopes, and perseveres, to the love that never fails. May you find it and may you give it.
And I say a big amen to that.
Amen.
But is it possible really to find it?
I think that all things are possible. I also think that as long as you're willing to also give this kind of love, then it's very possible to find.
Now, we see on the show that a nation that doesn't read cannot develop. Let me welcome you specially to this one, the Lagos Love Journals and the Lekki Bride. Layemi is here with us. We also have Tonia. Tonia also read the book, yeah. And a bit, I should be picking your thoughts, you know. Yeah, Tonia, welcome to Book on Review.
Yeah, thank you, Benji. Good evening, everyone. A fantastic book, The Lagos Love Journal. I love it. The trail is already on, and I believe at the end of the show, everyone will want to get you book. It's a great book, Benji.
Thank you very much, Tonya.
All right, as we start, what song are we starting with?
Okay, so there's a song I really like by Michael Bublé. It's called Quando Quando.
Quando Quando.
Yes.
Is there any particular reason you like that song?
No particular reason. I just like the lyrics. I also like the artist's voice and his way of singing. So yeah.
I
like old
particularly
school music.
agree with you. More so that he also collaborated with someone.
Yes.
Sure, you understand.
Yeah.
A bit more contemporary.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so here comes Michael Bublé, Nelly Furtado with Quando, Quando, Quando. Welcome to the award-winning Classic FM Book on Review as we look at a book titled The Lekki Bride. My name is Benji. Stay with us. Quando is a romantic classic from Michael Bublé featuring El Furtado. And its lyrics are steeped in the themes of love, longing and anticipation. Now, the central theme of the song revolves around a person eagerly awaiting a positive response from their beloved, who they long to be with. The recurring phrase, "Tell me, quando," emphasizes the urgency and impatience of the narrator. Now, this phrase represents a playful assurance, a request to know when the person they love will reciprocate the feelings, when they will commit to a relationship. Yeah, great song, and great book that we're having. We're having a book titled The Lekki Bride, the first in the Lagos Love Journal series, the Ayo Kensington story. We've got Layemi, the author, join us. Now, you'll be reading for us.
No problem.
What page are you reading from?
Okay, I'd like to read from page 123.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Let's shoot.
Okay. The sound of CNN on the TV woke me up. Excited, I thought TK had returned, so I sat up abruptly. Instead, I saw the elegant woman who had dazzled me with a slap months earlier in the chair beside me, his mother. She had the remote in her hand, and it looked like she had deliberately turned up the volume in order to wake me up. "Oh, good. You are awake finally. We need to talk." It was the first time that I had ever felt terror in the presence of another human being. I wondered how she knew where I was and why she had even been let into my room. Then it occurred to me that TK had brought me to their family hospital and she could get away with whatever she did there. "The news has reached me that you are supposedly pregnant with my son's child and that you have somehow convinced him to marry you. I'm here to tell you that that is not going to happen. It doesn't matter whether the baby festering in your womb is his or some other unfortunate soul, but you will never receive my blessings to marry my firstborn son. Adetokunbo has always had the tendency to sow his wild oats and fall for the most unsuitable women. It is my responsibility as his mother to open his eyes when they have been blinded by lust. As the heir of this family, he is destined to inherit our wealth and carry on our family name. I'm sure you understand why a nobody like you, with no pedigree, no family, no name, can ever hope to be anything more than a fling." I was so speechless, I just lay there staring at her. She went on, "I will take your silence as agreement. Here is what I will do for you out of the goodness of my heart. For the simple fact that my son ever considered marrying you at all, I will ensure you and your child are well taken care of, and all you have to do is disappear and never try to reach him again." There was a large Birkin bag on the bedside table. She picked it up and pulled out an envelope. She pulled out some papers and dropped them on the bed beside me. "I had my lawyer draw this up last night. Sign them, and I will have 20 million naira wired into a bank account in your name before nightfall, and you can move on with the rest of your life." The whole time that she was haranguing me, an alchemy was happening such that my fear was transforming to rage. What kind of mother did this to her own child? She has spent all of TK's adult life chasing love away from him, believing that she was actually protecting him, when all she really cared about was herself and her money. After what TK had found out about me, I wasn't even sure if he would still want to marry me. He might not care that I took his mother's dirty money and ferreted away to America to start life afresh. I could be with Banker and my brother and his family. I knew TK did not love me, partly because of the woman staring at me like a hawk. Not to mention, he was incapable of being faithful to me. So what kind of marriage, even if it did happen, was I really about to walk into? I'm so sorry, but I'm not for sale. The scariest minute of my young life drifted by in silence. Is that your final answer? Yes. A deep, hearty, frightening laugh emitted from the Duchess's throat as she packed up her belongings. I watched her walk gracefully to the door. Her intoxicating fragrance had filled the room and was definitely going to linger long after she left. The woman literally oozed wealth and elegance. Before she walked out the door, she paused and turned to me with a gleam in her eyes. "Get well soon, Anjola Oluwa, and welcome to hell."
Welcome to hell. Wow. If you've just joined us, this is the award-winning Classic FM book on review. Tonight we're looking at the Lekki Bride, the first in the Lagos Love Journal series. It's written by Layemi, who've just joined us. What was that about? What was this? You know, I've been restraining myself from asking this. Maybe you can help through more. I do know that, look, the truth of the matter is there's no one size fit all kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But however, sometimes we we heavily generalize because when we find things happening. Of course, that's why we do proposals anyway. A lot of people feel very uncomfortable when women have power and fame. You also find that even in husbands who would say that they are afraid when power and money is given to their wife. Is that what's happening here?
So I don't, like you said, I don't think it's good to generalize, particularly when I've just read a snippet of the story. It's a trilogy, and the Duchess does get to tell her side of the story in the last book, titled Meet the Duchess, which is essentially her own journey and how she became the way she was. In her mind, she was protecting her son. And to be honest, we see later on in the book that Angela herself, even though she's telling the story from her lenses, wasn't the model wife, to be honest. So maybe there was a misguided way of protecting her son. But at the heart of it, I think she was just trying to do what she thought was best for her son, because she wasn't clear on Angela's intentions. And if you do read, further into the book, I don't want to give out spoilers because of people that have not read it. But she wasn't the perfect wife either. And I think that for me, one of the things I was trying to drive home is everybody has their side of the story. Yes, you will always be the villain in somebody's story. So we can't take just a few lines and then generalize that, women can be given power of fame. I think it's based on the individual and the situation they find themselves in. But in terms of women having power, I think that all the women in the trilogy were powerful women, and they were powerful in their own ways. I think that it's a bit controversial to say that women can be given fame and power. When men are given fame and power, we also see some abuse.
No, we're not giving. We have power and fame. We have it. We're not giving. It's something that if we were giving, it must have been given to us by God. Yeah. Well, please correct me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Yeah. Okay. I accept.
I feel like everybody has a purpose, regardless of the agenda, and I feel like that purpose is what is God given.
Actually, I understand that, but the reason why I just simply said that is, this just digressing. The reason why I just simply said that was not because I am male. I just said it from a point of work, from a point of asserting energy in the things that you do. Men naturally assert energy in even the roughest of places to make money, where women won't go. I mean, men, when it comes to lifting very heavy things, men will put their head to it. When it comes to wars, when it comes to different things. So you find that because of that, men seem to have an edge making money. If you drive probably at 2 a.m., it's only policemen you see. You don't see policewomen.
I think
so. And there's so many things that we can go on and on. This is not to disparage any gender. I'm just laying it bare the way it is. And these are facts. Because if you drive tonight by 1 a.m., you won't see a policewoman. That I didn't plug. That is a fact. So you find that the tendency for men to make a little bit more money over the woman is higher because of this, these things that I've said. In the most unlikely hour, you're most likely going to see a man. 1 a.m., a man will step out, what's happening? A woman won't dare do that. So if, and there's something to be picked on the road, maybe in terms of money, it's a man that will readily get it because, and even if there are marauders and they see there is a man coming, they better prepare to face the man than if he's a woman.
Yeah.
One person can just call her, come here, and she will just unlike so.
I think we're looking at one kind of strength. I think women have their own strength, which may not be physical.
Of course, we're not taking that away.
In that context,
we're not taking. We're not. Definitely, we're not taking. The truth of the matter is, it's just us humans that we are battling each other. The truth of the matter, we're different. We're very different in our ways. A woman has a USP and her VSP. The man has his own USP and they are not the same. Actually, we complement each other.
Yeah.
It's only that we just like to fight each other to think that the truth of the matter, that what a woman can do, a man can do, and what a man can do, a woman cannot do. There are some, of course, there's a meeting point for both genders. We do the same things, yeah. But a woman has her powers, a man has her powers, and both of them, the synergy that gives the world. So we just digress, OJ. So in one word, you have given us a bit of the plot of the book, what the book is about. But can you take us through the Lagos Love Journals? What is this? Sounds like a diary where you put in something, or a blog that you set up where people can, maybe their daily life as they go. What is the Lagos Love Journals?
Okay, the Lagos Love Journals are fictional stories set in Lagos. And they're called journals because the books are written in first-person narrative. So you have somebody actually, you're right in saying that they're talking about their daily experiences. So it's even the language, the scenery, everything is very relatable. It's just written in very simple, plain English. It's very relatable. The storylines are, there's a lot of drama, and there are lots of strong themes that are captured. But it's just, it's an easy read for anybody who likes fiction and romance novels. So we titled it the Lagos Love Journals because all the stories are set in Lagos.
Okay, nice. All right, indeed. Maybe we can even... Who is your favorite character in the book?
Am I allowed to have a favorite?
I'm just asking. Okay, let me reframe that.
Okay.
Of all of the characters in the book, which was more challenging for you to write, and which was probably less challenging to write?
Okay, I think the most challenging, let me start from that, would definitely be Adenike Ayakessintin, aka the Duchess.
The Duchess.
Simply because, first of all, there's a generational gap there. She's born in 1940s Lagos. So it's not a time that I can really relate to. So there was a bit of research that had to go into writing that character. And then also her personality. She's a very strong, I don't even think that the word alpha female captures her essence. She's an enigma. She's a force of life. So you see her in different situations. She can be very nurturing and protective of her children, and then she's also a fierce lioness when you cross her path. And even those children, when they cross her path, they get her wrath. So it's
Would you say she should?
I would say she's a lot of things, but I think that, and I think that's why she deserved her own book, because she really did have to tell her side of the story. And I think that from book 2 you start to see snippets into her past. She wasn't always like this, in her defense, but you start to see snippets of why she was the way she was in book 1 in particular. But yes, her character was extremely challenging for me. I think the easiest character to write was maybe Angela's one, because hers was a very cheesy, love story. There are a lot of strong plots around marriage and friendship and family and self-discovery and purpose and all of that. But all in all, it was just it's a normal love story that everybody would just... There are a lot of ahs and ahs moments, but for the Duchess, it's more about legacy, power, business, strategy. So it was a lot harder to write.
All right, we'll be coming back to the discussion when we digressed, when we asked the question about fame, money, when placed in. We'll be coming back to that. I deliberately started with that question because we're going to come back to it later on the show. But all right, if I forget, remind me. Remind me.
No problem.
You have spoken about the Duchess. Antonia, do feel free to just jump in if you have. We'll also be asking you who. Tell me about Tokunbo. I like the way you did.
Yeah, because
TK, I'll tell you that he's my star character in your book.
Oh, that's nice.
I was telling her I have 3 star characters in your book. Tokunbo is one. Definitely, no one is going near Tokunbo. Before I tell you the second and third, how did you come about Tokunbo?
Okay, so to be honest, Tokunbo is like, I won't speak for everybody, but he's a lot of women's fantasy guy. Like when you imagine the character in a blockbuster rom-com, tall, dark, handsome, rich, powerful, wealthy, but he wasn't perfect, as we see later on in the story. he had his flaws. But what I liked about TK's character, apart from all the, as they say, Riz and steez of the Lagos fine boy, his character did grow through the book. So we saw him start out as a mommy's boy who really couldn't put his foot down when he came to his mother, or to protect his family from his nuclear family from his extended family. But as the book progresses, you see him start to, take ownership of his home and take, and even when there were issues in his marriage, there's a lot of plot twists there that I don't want to give away, but everybody thinks he's the bad guy at the beginning, because obviously this guy that fits this persona, he has to be a bad boy, right? But as the book progresses, we see that he actually did have good intentions, and there was, he was much deeper than the branding that everybody had sort of given him. And so I think that his character was very interesting for me to write, to be honest.
Tell me about one character that didn't say a word, didn't as much as shout, but as subtle as her nature. She played a very huge role in the book, Oladuni.
Oh, okay. Angela's daughter.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. I thought it was...
Because she created almost all the twists, the biggest twist in the book, as a result of Oladuni.
Yes. Okay, well, I guess being a toddler at the time, I think that it would be hard for her to have had any, major dialogue in the book. But I think that she showed a very vulnerable side of her parents, Angela and TK. So, yes, so the love of a parent, sort of, that kind of love is not a love that can be quantified or explained. So I think that even in terms of their growth as people, I think Oladuni did play a huge part, particularly for TK in his growth as a man. Becoming a father did change him in more ways than one. Yeah.
One of the reasons why I also talked about Oladuni is there's something you did in your book. A few things. Number one, so it wasn't by mistake that I asked about Oladuni. The first part, Oladuni had a role to play in the prenatal thing that she signed. If you have a child. So, for the reader, you have already created something in the mind of the reader. Where is she going to really, really fit in? Now, she played another role again, which is oftentimes you find that a couple probably maybe they're just at the cutting level. I like you, you like me. Some, the girl takes him, he might drive the guy away. Some other, it would be that I really didn't want to marry her, but because of this pregnancy, I am going to marry her. So it's not a case of I really love her. Do you understand? But because of the pregnancy, I'm going to marry her. We can also transcend that. So you now see some of the roles that Duni has played in the book. Then thirdly, one major role that Duni also played also helped us to see the bond between the mother and child, the bond between the father and the daughter. And then not just that, you also played a very huge role with Duni by telling us and letting us know that sometimes when a couple has a child or children, as the case may be, they shouldn't think it's erroneous to think that it's just two of us that have this child. Because we see the Duchess, the dad, everyone is about Duni. In fact, the person that, I'm not so sure if they kidnapped Duni, but please look for the book, get the book. If in case they did kidnap Duni, whoever did it also is Duni that's in the middle of it. But if they didn't, well, whatever. So you see the role that Duni played in the book. And at the end of the day, you can see, I don't want to use the word closure, but you can see the family coming together to talk, to say, okay, can this go? Can this not go? And it's all because there's a Duni somewhere. She didn't say anything in the book, but she played it. I can go on and on. I give you different parts where Duni played something very, very important. Tell me about Chief Ayo Kensington, the man himself, as the head of the Ayo Kensington family.
Okay,
I
so
love what you do with him initially in the book. I also love how the book ends. Yeah. Please tell me.
okay, I'll try very hard not to give away any spoilers for those who haven't read the book. But I think that as the book progresses, you begin to see more of his character. I think that book one doesn't really do justice to him.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think it's because it's from Angela's perspective. It appears as though he's left the center stage for his wife. And as we uncouple that in the rest of the trilogy, we begin to understand why he took a backseat, particularly from book two. So I know that maybe you have a conception in your mind that, you know, he should have been more assertive, he could have been more visible.
No. That's why I said I love what you did with it.
Okay.
I love what you do with it.
Yeah, I think that his strength is the kind of strength that sometimes goes unnoticed. He was a presence and a fixture in his children's lives. Maybe not in the same way that his wife was, who was very pushful and visible. He was a constant presence and succor for his children. And when the occasion did come for him to act as the man of the house, he actually did.
Stepped up.
Yeah, so I think that I try to balance, you know, the TK's parents, because you had one person who was undeniably a force of nature, and then you have the calmer balance in the duo, who is the calm father, who is more approachable for the children. But when the occasion for him to come out and shield his clan comes up, he definitely will stand to the occasion. So
tell us about MM, the gap-toothed TK's secretary, PA, and every other thing joined together.
But I'm sure as the book unravels again, at the beginning, I don't think Angela was fair to MM. And MM's role in the story initially was a reflection of Angela's insecurities.
Insecurities,
so,
that's the word.
Yes.
That's
so she had this, her husband had this PA, or, you know, somebody that worked closely with him in the office. And for some reason, she had ascribed all sorts of roles to the girl, which at the end of the day, I will leave that to you to find out if it was true or not. But I think that the parallel I was trying to draw there was that communication in marriage or relationship is very important. There are some things that spiraled that could have been solved by a simple conversation. I think Angela was an avoider. She avoided very tough conversations with her husband, and instead she had a very wild imagination, and she just kept layering all sorts of things. Some were true, some were not.
And most of us like that, at least on the average.
Well, I think that sometimes
assumption is terrible.
Yes.
You know, when you get to that point.
Yes. They actually say it's the lowest form of intelligence.
It is. Assumption is the lowest form of intelligence.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, tell me about Tomiwa.
Okay.
His younger brother. You know. I particularly penned him out because there's also something that you did in the book. Tomiwa is Yoruba, Adaobi is Igbo. You might not think about that when you were writing, but I'm also taking it from another perspective. Your book tells us at the end of the day that why do we discriminate each other based on where we're from? But in your book, we find the synergy. We find... Anyway, so I won't be talking for you. So tell me about Tomiwa.
Tomiwa is another interesting character. And I think I like what happened with him at the end. I like the fact that, you know, he was able to come into his own and, you know, like stand up to his mom. Unlike TK, who was a rebel from childhood, Tomiwa was, you know, that straight A student, no problem, did not give his parents any drama and all of that. But underneath him, there was a lot that was being bottled up. And I've been asked a couple of times if maybe Adaobi would get her own story so that she can, you know, give us a sneak peek into Tomiwa's life. I don't know about that yet, but to be honest, he's a character I'd really like to explore more at some point.
No, if you flip it, tell me about Tomike.
Okay, Tomike is...
That's another drama in herself.
Yes. So Tomike is TK's only sister, who, to be honest, is always on her mom's side. She's close to her mom. She's the only girl. They have a bond that is undeniable. And she just picks up her mom's battles, whether it's her battle or not. If you are not my mom's friend, you are not my friend. And so that comes through in her relationship with Angela. But Tomike does mature as we see towards the end of the book. And I'm sure that by book 3, you might actually see some, you know, reasons why Tomike also became the way she was through the lenses of her mother, of course, who is telling the story in book 3.
Now, one good support system that you have in the book, is Linda. mother hen. Tell me about Linda.
Okay, to be honest, Linda was a very important character for me.
Very important. In fact, that's Tonia's. She was
Star character.
Oh, really? That's nice. Linda was very important for me to add to Angela's story because, to be honest, I think that every woman needs a tribe. You need those friends who, no matter what you did, no judgment, they will tell you the truth, but they will also cover you.
Yes.
And I think that Linda did that, even when there were instances where she had warned Angela and she still went ahead and made mistakes. She was still there, like, okay, so how do we fix this?
What do we do from here?
And I also, the age difference between them was intentional. Like, Linda was a few years older. I did that because I'm a benefactor of older women who have supported me, particularly in my career journey and even in my writing journey as well. So I think that for a lot of young women reading the book, I wanted them to understand that, look, you need a tribe of women. You are married, you are happily married, or, you can have your family and all of that, but every woman needs her tribe. That will stand for, and I think.
Thank you for reminding me that you could be Angela, but it's fine. You just played.
Okay, I didn't see that one coming, but I take responsibility for that.
Tell me about Emeka. Emeka is sugar. Tell me.
Emeka was just a man in love. As much as everybody thinks that Emeka was the villain in Angela's story, I think, like the Duchess, I think that he has a misguided conception of what love is. In his mind, he was trying to rescue her.
I don't even think Emeka is in love with Angela.
Okay.
Personally. I may be wrong. I'm not the author. But I think that Emeka is not in love with Angela. And I'm coming from that angle, speaking as a man. Apparently, he's working for the father. He would have seen the worth of the company. And he would have thought, okay, if I marry this girl, I'm not speaking for Emeka, but that's the way So, all of the while, before we got to a particular point, I was reasoning the way you have said it. Yeah, he's in love. But later I started to finish up what you were saying.
So I think Emeka is another misunderstood character. I'm not defending him. I think he went overboard in some areas. But again, I think he had a hero complex when it came to Angela. And I think that's because of how young they were when they first met. So he had this, even from the first scene where they meet each other on the campus in Unilag, it was a situation where he came in to protect her. And I think that even as they grew older and she had gotten married, he still had that protective instinct, like, I need to take care of her, she's vulnerable. And I think that he just, at some point, he completely lost the plot and went overboard. But if you look at his intentions, maybe he did have his heart in the right place, but he just went about it all
And
wrong.
towards the end of the book, you actually sold me out. Because what I was expecting with Emeka, I found in another person. And in fact, I didn't see that coming. We won't go look for the book. And then there are also other characters in the book that you find. There's Banker. Banker, by the way, played a very important role in the book. Very, very important role. Tell me about Banker. I'm sure you have a friend that's like Banker.
No.
Oh,
No. I don't think anybody. Well, to be honest, I think that sometimes things happen in life, and we think that it's they are bad things, but later on, everything sort of just comes and works together for good. So initially, I don't want to give you, again, I'm trying to prevent spoilers, but Banker played a very critical role in Angela's life that initially would seem like a betrayal. But if not for Banker's betrayal, how would everything have fallen in place? So the truth is, sometimes, is it destiny? Is it betrayal? Is this how it was supposed to happen? Sometimes a betrayal can actually be pushing you towards purpose. So
true. All right, Tonya, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I want to say something to that. Well, you might call it, is it destiny? I do believe that God just sometimes uses certain things to turn our life around for good.
Yes.
But actually it is not. That is somebody who has not yet organized her life, but is trying to organize. At that point when the person is experiencing it, it is terrible.
Yes.
But probably because of mercy, God will use that thing to turn it around for good for her. So I believe that is what happened. One thing I love about your book is it's something you can resonate with. It's practically what is happening to different homes or different individuals. My own question here is about what we see now that is very prevalent, and that is legacy and how families want to continue to keep their legacy, where the rich has to marry the rich, the poor should not marry the rich. And I'm wondering, is it you? Let me put you in that place. You're the Duchess, and then you have a son. Would you, as a person, go out of the book, allow your son to pick a girl from the lowest part of the family, doesn't have any pedigree, doesn't have any, even no education that much to sustain the name and legacy? Would you, as a person, approve of that? Forget about good character. You don't know her. You just see the physical, that this girl cannot just fit in. Would you agree to?
Okay, that's a tough question because I'm trying to balance my perspective here. So to be fair to the Duchess, I think that there were ways that TK could have handled his relationship with Angela. First of all, when you're no matter the family you're from, no matter your socioeconomic background, I don't think that the first time your mother should be meeting your fiancé is after you propose that she's pregnant, especially when you have that kind of mother. So there are things that TK could have done to sort of ease Angela into his family, as opposed to just bringing her and then dropping her right in the middle of the drama, and she's like, what's going on in this world? I thought you people were rich and happy. But I wouldn't handle it the way the Duchess did, but I think that there were also things that Angela and TK could have done better to ease the Duchess into the situation.
As much as your sentiment, I agree with your sentiment, but somehow I still feel that TK did what he should have done from a man's point of view. Because if you read deep into the book, you're the author, you would find that the Duchess has always had one thing against whoever he brought.
Exactly. True.
So he would have thought that, okay, I bring this, is not good. I bring this, is not good. Well, this time around, I'm not doing introduction. I'm just going to, come, bam, on you, and let me see what you're going to do.
Yeah. Well, that's another angle that is very, you're very spot on there. So I think that's what makes the book beautiful. The fact that everybody has different perspectives, and every perspective is correct in some way.
Yeah.
So I think that everybody had their flaws, but we can't blame everybody 100%. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we're going on it. Okay.
There is one more. One thing I love the book that it really brought out, and that's also made me think deeper, that while we're growing up, we believe we have actually forgiven. We're in that state of denial that, I can do without it. It doesn't hurt. But when what you feel doesn't hurt comes face to face with you, and then you actually know that it's been buried.
My father
would say, very long time.
When the tables are turned.
Yes, it's been buried.
That's what my dad was saying.
Yes, and that's one thing that you brought out of your book, where Angela taught that I can do it with my father. I don't, and then she's seen him, and then the memory comes back that the hurt is still there. So I just want to, in your own ways, how do you think people who all this while they've been hurting, but they feel they're not hurting, and they get to that point where they are confronted with that thing that they feel, how do you think they're able to, what can they do to overcome such? What are the things they can do?
I think that, to be honest, the truth is, you can be vulnerable, and like I said, that tribe I spoke about earlier is very important. You need people, that a support system where you can be open and vulnerable to say, look, I'm hurt, I'm bitter, I need to forgive this person, I can't go past this. A lot of times, I'll speak for women, people that I talk to and all of that. I don't know how other people handle it, but a lot of times people don't confront these things. So this thing has happened, you cannot get past it, but you don't want to confront it, so you just shove it aside and go on with your daily life as though everything is fine. And then you get to a breaking point where something just tips you over, and then all hell breaks loose, and you realize that you were holding on to so much hurt and unforgiveness and resentment. And I think that's what played out in Angela's case, and even her brother Afolabi. I think his case was even worse, because he was older and got a lot of the brunt of their father's errors. So I think that being vulnerable, speaking up, and when in the case where you can, I think having an honest conversation with the person to say, this is what you did, and then maybe even if the person doesn't apologize, you can give yourself closure.
Exactly.
And sometimes closure is actually just moving on, because there are some times where you can't confront the person, but you can get closure, by yourself, and then move on and just live your best life, and don't allow that to hold you back.
All right, we're going on a break right now. What song so we can have a breather?
Okay, I like Shadi Adu. Your Love is King. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shadi Adu. If you've just joined us, this is the award-winning Classic FM book on review tonight. We're looking at a book titled The Lekki Bride. This is the first in the Lagos Love Journal series, the Ayo Kensington story. The author, Layemi O-I, has joined us. Layemi O-I, and this is Shadi. We're going on a break. Your love is king. We'll be back in a bit. When we come back, a few minutes and then we're done on the show. We'll be looking at some quotes in your book. Okay. We'll be looking at themes and lessons to learn from it. We'll be looking at what we like, what I don't like, what we don't like. We'll be looking at other areas, and then we'll also be asking you the best way to apply your book to making love better, making society better. That's your own contribution with the book. That's not the reason why you set out in the first place to write it. But at the end of the day, a good book should generate conversation. A good book should generate something that society will look and say, we've learned one or two things from it. Yeah. So here is Your Love is King. Shadia Adu will be back. Your Love is King, a song by English artist, English Nigerian that is, yeah. Sade. We're in her group called Sade, yeah. Oftentimes we miss Sade the group and Sade the artist, okay? But that was done with her group, Sade, from the album Diamond Life, 1984. We're 59 going past 7 o'clock. The closing of the book on review, we have the author Layemi O-I, and then we're looking at our book, The Lekki Bride. This is the first in the Ayo Kensington story, yeah, the Lagos Love Journal series, yeah. A few things that you said in your book, let's quickly drive through them. We're going to be fast, yeah. You said in your book that it is not only love that sustains a marriage. What does that mean?
Well, there's a lot to marriage. It's not just love. There's friendship, there is communication, there is purpose. Because sometimes you can love somebody and then your purposes are not aligned and
True.
you are working at, cross purposes. So there's a lot that sustains a marriage. It's not just love. And sometimes I think people have the tendency to get fixated on the emotion of love as opposed to all the other things that need to accompany that love. So yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say there.
You say in your book that a wife is a wife regardless of how she came to be.
Okay. So what I was trying to say there, what I was trying to say there is it doesn't matter how somebody became another person's wife. The minute she's his wife, she should be accorded the respect.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's what I was just trying to say. So regardless of, I think that was, you know, in context of Angela's marriage. So regardless of how she became Mrs. Ayo Kensington, she is now Mrs. Ayo Kensington, and she should be accorded the respect that she deserves.
Yeah, the law allows for that. You said peace of mind is more valuable than whatever is gained through fighting. Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that is a no-brainer, yeah?
Yeah.
No, so let's move on. You say, what a man needs in a woman are loyalty and unwavering support, not money. What do you have to say to that?
I would hope that is true. I hope that that's true. You know, I can't speak for men, but I hope that that's true.
It is true.
That, you know, loyalty and unwavering support in life happens. There are different storms that you have to weather as a man, and I think that for most men, even if, you know, a woman can't bring at some point in the marriage the financial support, if, you know, every day I'm going to face the world and I know that I have somebody at home that is rooting for me, I think sometimes that is even more important than any financial help. Yeah.
Okay, you say in your book that all scandals eventually run out of steam. Is it true?
Yeah, something will trend the next day, or at most 2 days later, something else will happen. And yes, we do see, because it was a prominent family, so yes, they did have a couple of scandals, and at the end of the day, everybody moved on.
Okay, maybe two more. There's so many. You say in your book that wealth is better, but happiness is paramount. But some will tell you that it's money that gives them happiness.
So I won't say that wealth is not important. I think that it's good to live a good, you know, financially free life. Yeah. But at the end of the day, there's a kind of wealth that you can't even enjoy. And then what is now the purpose of that wealth, you know? So I think that's what I was trying to say there, that any wealth that takes away your peace as a person, where, you know, you're living constantly on the edge, I don't think that's a true blessing.
All right, one last one. You said fate, F-A-T-E, works in circles and patterns. What does that mean?
Okay, so and I think maybe that will be giving more context in the other books. If you look at some of the themes in the book, they are recurrent across all the Icasting women. So you see patterns, and then, like I asked earlier, some things, is it destiny, or did somebody betray you, or was the person actually propelling you into your destiny? And so we see fate actually just doing her thing, where there's nothing you could have done to change this outcome. So at the end of the day, is it your actions that led you here, or were you always supposed to arrive here? So yes, sometimes it does work in circles and patterns, but it always gets you right to where God wants you to be.
I like that God angle. I like that. Now, what I like about your book, right from the opening pages, you have the descriptive. There's a way you describe. You describe in such a way that the reader is also a character in the book. You know, I think it's a gift.
Thank you.
I think it's a gift. So kudos on that.
Thank you.
Number two, I like the image of the book. I like the play with color. Green, you know, lemon. There's the sky. Of course, you can't miss the Lagos Bridge, the Lagos Lekki Bridge. So you find a situation where even the title, the image, also has a link with the title of the book. One can see that truly is a Lekki Bride because I can see the bridge. And that bridge is just in one place in Lagos, just that, you know, Lekki. And then you can see, a bit of the opulence where she stands. And you can also see the courage that she has. You know that this one, you know. So I love it. I love your language. Your language is conversational. Your language is easy to understand. I like it.
Thank you very much.
I like your story. I like your characters. Again, like I said, a few characters that stand out for me. One of them is TK. the other, Angela is a protagonist, so I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I like her. Again, like I said, sometimes I like her. Sometimes I feel like dragging her out and talking sense into her. What are you doing now? You understand?
Yeah.
But then it also shows a what's that English word? It just simply shows that we're fallible.
Yeah.
Infallibility also. Another character that I love, and I'm eager to go into the second room, is Kensington himself, Ayo Kensington himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what you said when you said at the point when he's to get up, he got up. But most importantly for me, one of the reasons why I decided to like him is not from a place of sentiment. It's just simply from a place where you craftily, and I love, maybe I shouldn't use the word craft, you strategically played him as someone without any voice at the beginning of the book. And not just that, you also strategically made sure that he was absent even in the children, in terms of conversation, in terms of let me talk to daddy. Those things were not there. But later in the book, I now find out that you were very strategic with it, and it worked well for you. It worked well. A lot of authors would have lost, because the truth of the matter, you did so well with that character.
Thank you.
At the right time, you brought him into the picture, and you brought him at the right time. Some other author would have lost that man in the book, would have lost that man completely. But I love what you did with it. You know, there's a way, and there was this conversation that he was having when he said it. Even his own son was surprised.
Yes.
I love that part. That's why I told you that, so, because sometimes when we read a book, there are some areas that we'll touch, even the author is not even thinking in that line.
Yes.
But again, like you said, that is what a good book should do. I should have my opinion, you should have, another person should, Tonya should have, so it goes round. And then the third person for me is Linda.
Yes.
I love Linda. I love Linda.
She's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I love Linda. Yeah, the same thing Tonya said. Yeah, a few things that I've written, just maybe two. Initially I wrote 7, but I'm going to shorten it. The first for me is what I call the prenuptial clauses in marriages. But early in the book, we see right from page 12 the role of this clause before a marriage is instituted. Now, in this particular case, some clauses restricted children born with, like we said, and we also find that there is a particular clause that tells the wives in the family not to work. As much as I don't want to go into maybe it's wrong or right, or there's something I've also said on this show. As much as would I encourage women to be financially stable, as much as I encourage women and tell women, including my wife, to do something, but I also leave a space in my mind and my head for women that have decided to say, look, I want to stay home and take care of children. I personally do not see them less than the one that works. And I want to use this opportunity to tell women out there, you see, sometimes you get to a point you want to say, look, let me stay home. Please don't see yourself and fight. Possibly, I don't mean physical fight, to be aggressive, but please fight anyone who tells you that, what are you doing? You're not even doing anything. And your mates are bringing him on. No.
But I think the most important thing which you've touched on is that it's the power to choose, so it should be her choice.
True.
Yes.
Because you could be at home today because you want to take care of the children. I mean, the children probably gets to 15 or 15. If you want to say, man, this is the time for me to now start doing something. Look, whatever works for you.
Yes.
Whatever works for you. But don't just let anyone bring you down because you're not like, a career lady. Look, we all have different roles to play in this life. Yeah. We all have different things. So whatever it is, and if you are a career person, don't also let anyone tell you that, please, if it works for you, fine, just stay with it. But I do not think I like these clauses that come into marriages. I don't think I like it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But maybe maybe I'm not in the class of Elon Musk, who would probably understand why. But for me, I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, but I think
That's
that the reason why that clause became necessary for the family is unraveled more in book 3. Yes, so the Duchess explains to the readers why that clause became necessary for every woman marrying into their existing family. Yes.
I know, but again, like we said, well, thank God there is an Angela who would always, so
stand up for herself. Yeah.
number 2, you talked about some health conditions that I think we should talk about. You talked about the ovarian cancer. We also see a little bit of the one that the child has. There was a child that had, what was that?
Okay, I think it was some sort of infection.
Infection,
Gastric infection.
Yes. Yeah, you also talked about that. Can you for a moment just tell us about ovarian cancer, what we should do, what we should look out for, especially for people listening to us right now? Yeah.
Okay, so I think that, to be honest, this is not medical advice. So I'm not a healthcare professional, but I think that at every stage there are certain tests that women should do. So once you're over a certain age, I think that it's very important to speak to your healthcare physician and know the tests that you're supposed to do when you are 30, 35, 40, 50 and above and all of that. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, life does happen, but sometimes some things can be prevented through early detection. So I know we're busy, we're being mothers, career women and all of that, but I think it's very important to prioritize your health and your well-being.
Now, the third that I wrote here is the grass truly greener on the other side? Janet Jackson has a song that says that we don't know what we've got until we've lost it. Yeah, don't know. Now, as humans, let me be asking, not necessarily asking you, why do we invite pain to ourselves and then play the victim? Now, why can't some of us see beyond our noses? Why do we think it's only about us and not also about the other person? Why do we expend so much energy, so much resources in yearning what's really out of our reach, rather than pour same energy in working on the things that we already have to make that thing better? Why do we always think that the grass is greener on the other side when we have indeed failed to water the grass that we stand on? I mean, we should get to a point where we start to think that the grass is greener on the other side because somebody has watered it. So we just must water. Of course, things happen in life where you yourself, you know that you have done your bit, and then it's time to step aside. That's all we're talking about. But we'll just leave it hanging. And then the last one I won't discuss is family first. One thing that you did in your book that I love, and I think people should emulate, is to have time for family come together.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what has happened. The truth of the matter is, one thing that you gave us in your book is everybody carries a baggage. No one is free. Everybody, including me, everybody carries a baggage. But we should find time for the family to bond, to sit together, eat together. And please stop thinking that my brother is doing me. I can't eat in their house. I can't. What is all that? Like I always tell my younger brother, he will come and tell me, I say, look, the truth of the matter is, if anybody wants to get you, if they want to get you, they will get you. They will get you. So sometimes so family should come first. Yeah. So I like that. Let me ask you 2 themes that you want to say, you want to leave with us. 2 themes.
Okay, I think it's self-discovery. Find yourself, and in finding yourself, also know that you would evolve as a person. There are different roles that you would enter into your life that would require different versions of you. So don't stop learning. Just find yourself, like Angela did at the end of the book. And then second thing is, I think I'll just say, like you said, it takes more than love to make a marriage work. There's communication, there's consistency, there's fairness, there's selflessness. You ask the question on why people play the victim. If you can just have a bit of empathy and put yourself in the other person's shoes. So just do the work. Marriage requires work. Love requires work to bloom. So those are the 2 themes I'd like to leave.
Sonia, do feel free to jump in. Where can we get your book?
Okay, so the books are available in leading bookstores nationwide. Roving Heights, Book Peddler, Book Nook, terra culture, and then for our diaspora audience, available on Amazon as well.
Nice. All right, as we go on the show, would like to rate your book. Drum rolls.
Moment of truth.
We'll start with Tonya.
Okay, for me, it's a book. It's one of those books that I've read that I will not forget in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
It's engaging for me and intriguing. I mean, I was curious to know what is going to happen. In fact, I told him, don't tell me, let me read through. What I love about your book, it ignites a lot of deep thinking. What of this? What if that? So the book is very constructive words. I mean, one thing I love about you that I told my husband you're a very good story writer is you connected your stories well. Yeah. I mean, you take us up and then you take from the end, you connect. That was thrilling for me. And I said to myself, I think on the show this year, we've not gotten a 10 over 10. For me, this book is a 10 over 10.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
We'll be giving me, what do I give this book? Layemi O-I. I give you a book 10.
Yeah. Wow.
And we're
Thank
going
you
to read
so much. Thank you so much.
10 over 10.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I'm praying
Really
that the
grateful.
second book will be this good. I'm praying it is good. What song are we ending the show with?
Okay, I know my husband is listening, so right here with him, Monica. He likes
Monica.
it, yeah.
But then just for the moment, who is Layemi O-I?
Okay, I'm a storyteller. I like to call myself a storyteller. In my day job, I work as a C-suite executive at an advertising agency here in Lagos called Atlantic. And of course, I moonlight as a romance novelist.
We'd like to have your brands on you one of these days.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
So what particular song are we ending with?
Right Here Waiting.
Right
Monica.
Here Waiting.
Yes.
That's a super good song. Richard Marx, yeah? All right, thank you so very much. I want to thank Tonya. Please go on Instagram. We have been on Instagram Live. What are your handles?
Okay, we have a handle at the Lagos Love Journal, and then my personal handle is Layemi Olushoga. Yes.
Yeah? Please, you see all of this so you can watch. Right Here Waiting, Richard Marx. Thank you so very much, Layemi.
Thank you for having me. It's been a
regards
pleasure.
to your husband, your family.
Thank you.
We love them. We hope to see him next Saturday. Yeah, we hope, if he's not busy. Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Saturday Night Fever continues on the flip side. Stay with us.